Welcome to Seekers of the Malediction, your source for tips, tricks, and discussion on our favorite miniatures card game, Malediction. As ever, we are a competitive podcast, and so our viewpoint comes through from a competitive angle. My name is Zach. This is Pat. Take it away.
Yeah, so this week we're finally wrapping up the last of the card reviews. It's been a long 2 month process, but we finally got there. So we'll be going over all the dual faction cards along with the attachments. We will be giving a letter grade to it, A through A plus through F range. A's are typically bombs. They're going to always, when you play them, they're going to have a significant impact, often win you the game. B are your good cards that you want to typically fill your deck with. C is okay filler, like there's you're happy to have it to make the 30 card cut, but they're just not quite there. And then D range are really niche cards that might have a use case, but they're just not overall that strong. And then F cards are just unplayable. So with that, we will hop in to the first card. All right, we're starting with Primal Blood and Legion. So this is for Ingor, and the card is Chaotic Bargain. It is a 2 cost spell, channel, speed, elite, and it says roll a die on an odd result, discard a card, and draw a card. On an even result, draw 2 cards. Um, Zach, well, I'll just preface that I was in our spreadsheet that we did probably 2 months ago, and
Yeah.
I had to go ahead and change some of my grades because I think that my perception has changed. So this is some of these I think are going to be
Yeah.
more like off the cuff grades since we just have had so much more play experience since then.
Yep.
But yeah, why don't you take this one first?
Yeah, no, that's a good preface, and I think it's true. I think over time you start to see some more applications for niche cards, or you see things on the table more than the couple times we had when we made the spreadsheet. And you, you kind of see a wider application or a stronger application for certain cards. And this, you bring it up because this is absolutely one of them. So,
Hmm.
Chaotic Bargain on its face in a vacuum is awful. It's an absolutely terrible card. I graded it an F.
Hmm.
Um, and it is an F outside of Ingor. The thing is, you can only take it at Ingor,
Right.
so it isn't as bad as an F by any means. And the reason being, the discard a card is not nearly as punishing. It isn't just a net negative when you have Ingor. At least it's like a cycling, and it's a
Hmm.
net even. So if it was just a net negative, this card is absolutely enough.
Hmm.
Because it's only playable in Ingor, and Ingor kind of makes it a net neutral, like a cycling. It's not terrible.
At its worst,
So
right?
my
At its
At its
worst,
worst,
it's
right? And
like
at its
yeah,
great, it's actually great.
yeah,
So it's much better than I initially thought, and it's much better because of its interaction with the only seeker that can presently play it. So again, yeah, on an even result, this card's fantastic. On an odd result, because it's only playable in Ingor, it's
yeah.
net neutral.
I
It's cycling.
I think this card is very deep when you actually go to on the surface, like you said, it's very bad. But there's a lot of interactions with it, and I think we need to take the time to kind of go through those to do justice to it. So first of all, Ingor, when something dies, you can flip a card, and you if it's a spell, you can play it off the top of your deck, right? And that this is the best case for this spell. You want to flip this over, and then you pay the 2 echo for it. Uh, and you roll a die, and if it's an odd result, then you discard a card. And whenever you discard a card, you're getting 2 echoes. So it's paying for itself right there. And this is the cycle, right? And then lets you draw a card. Um, and which is really a card advantage when you're playing it off the legacy, drawing it, because this card was never in hand anyways, right? So it is a free card, like a kind of a, I don't know. I guess it is a cycle. You
And
still
that's
have
a
to
great
discard
point.
a card, but you're getting echo as well. The other caveat here is you do have to discard a card first. So if you don't have a card to discard, it's actually just a free card draw, which is just free card advantage when you play it off the legacy. And then obviously, if it's an even result, you draw 2 cards, which is really, really good. Um, so there's just a number of layers of interactions there. If you're playing this from hand, I still think it's not that great. You're especially when you roll an odd result, you're paying a card. You're 2 for 1ing yourself essentially. You have to discard a card and pay a card to get 1 card. Not
Yeah,
as good. But when you discard a card, you gain the 2 Echo from the Legacy,
that's
so
fair.
it
Yeah,
pays for.
it's still a -1. Yeah, it's not
Yep.
not in a neutral.
Yeah. But I think that this, at first, I guess when I first started playing Ingor, I played him with more of like a normal curve. Like, Sestinar was at the top. Sestinar with access to Adrenaline Rush and stuff like that, and other things from Red. It gets really spicy. Since then, I have moved to playing Ingor completely Swarm. I think it's like 23 units, and like the curve is just ridiculously low. And so any card draw in that deck is just really welcome. So I do play two of these in that deck, but otherwise I don't think I would play this in other Ingor builds, I guess. And so I'm still pretty low on it. I moved it from an F where I had originally up to a D plus, just because I think that there are certain builds that would want this, but I still think it's not great.
Yeah, I could see it coming. I think it's better than a D range. Maybe low C, mid C. But yeah, I agree with everything you said.
All right, we'll put you down as a C minus. All right, we'll go to the next one. Cursehost Boar, 2 cost basic unit. It's 1 attack, 3/1 damage profile, 8 speed, 11 defense, 6 health. Death throws 3 when this unit is defeated. Units within 3 inches suffer 3 damage. Dire 1 whenever an enemy engaged with this unit activates. The enemy suffers 1 damage, and it's clumsy, so it cannot pick up or equip attachments, which includes relics. Yeah, why don't you go with this one too?
Sure. So this card, I think really in my mind has really only two real drawbacks, and that is clumsy and 6 health. And the 6 health isn't even always a negative in some board states, where you want him to blow up, and do damage in an AoE. So 2 speed, 8 cost, 3 damage top end, dire 1, and he explodes when he dies. I think this card is fantastic, honestly.
Yeah.
It's another example of just an absolutely great 2 cost card,
Mhm.
and that's where I'm at with it. I think it's
Yeah, I,
awesome.
I think the one other thing that's not on the card, but it's on a small base, so it's really easy to get it into annoying positions that can really mess up your opponent and maximize from the death throws, essentially, which is really what you're um, wanting. Yeah, I have a couple of funny stories here, I guess. One is this card has been an MVP for multiple games I've seen. There's an infamous Bruno game where this one Cursehost Boar that Bruno referred to refused to kill, ended up doing like 20 damage or something because he just kept on taking retaliation and didn't want it to explode.
Up on YouTube too, I think
Yeah,
that game.
yeah. And then the other one is there may or may not be a game where I was playing my Shamwin Orc Swarm deck and somebody played two of these and then corpse exploded both of them and just wiped my entire board in a single turn, which was sadly I was not recording that game and I hear about it all the time from that person.
Yeah, the game was amazing.
But yeah, it's great. I wouldn't want more HP on it, to be honest with you. I've also often found myself in positions having to check the rule books where, hey, can I attack my own units because I really want this thing to explode? You can't, for those wondering, but yeah, I think it's a great card. I put it as a B plus, but this more than any other 2 drop, I think that this one is up there for the best. But I've not given a 2 drop an A rating at all. I don't know. I don't feel like 2 drops
I've done
should
it.
impact the game that much. I know you have with
I've I've done it before, and I'll do it again. I think this is an A minus. I think this card's great.
All right, that's fair. All right, last one for Ingor. Ravenous Swarm, 3 cost elite, spell channel speed. If an ally was defeated during this activation, this card gains Quicken. It is deal 4 damage to an enemy and deal 2 damage to an ally. This card is probably the biggest offender for the rules discussion on the forums.
Yeah.
A lot of questions coming up around spell immunity. What happens if I have a spell immune ally? Does it still take the 2 damage? The answer is you can still play this card. Your protection unit does not take the 2 damage, so you can essentially play this as a free 4 damage spell. Target the 2 damage to take an ally can be on a spell immune unit, and it doesn't take it. The Quicken is a little bit weird too. Like in Ingor, if you play this off the legacy, it doesn't matter that it was quickened because you can just play bonus channels anyways. Um, and I have recently had the rule like I'm curious when this quicken if it's retroactive. If I play like if I played this first and I kill my ally, does it then become quicken, allow me to play another channel? And I don't know if I've gotten a clear answer on that. There was discussion, but nobody is really, from a dev perspective or from loot, has ruled one way or another there that I've seen. Um, it is a very weird card. A lot of weird interactions introduced with this. I think it's just okay. The bonus 4 damage, and we've talked about sometimes you want to shoot your own boar to blow it up. But most of the
Mhm.
times, I feel like the 2 damage to an ally is a drawback. Um, so I think this is just kind of like a middle-ish damage dealing card to push through more damage.
I agree. I think it's a mid card. I think it is overcosted, particularly because it has a drawback. It's overcosted worse. Um, I think that the drawback, the 2 damage, you're right. Like it's situationally fine
Hmm.
for you. Similarly, like the Swift is situationally good, but super rarely matters, it seems, in the only deck that can actually play this card. So I'm also torn on this. I think it's okay for getting in some extra damage dealing spells, particularly if you're playing like a, I don't know, spell chucking Angor. And maybe it's okay even in sort of a swarm Ingor build. It's just a damage spell that can occasionally blow stuff up and create, chain reactions of
Yep.
boars exploding everywhere. It's mid. It's
Yep.
mid either way.
It also breaks the echo ratio, which every other damage dealing spell, other than like I guess other than the fallen ones with with force march and stuff, it's 2 echo for every 1 point of damage, right? Is like typically what we see and stuff. And this is 3 echo for 4 damage that you're dealing to an enemy. So it's like it feels a tad like I think this would have been more playable as 2, well, with the drawback of dealing 2 damage to an ally as well. Like I don't know why it's 3 to be honest with you. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the drawback is more difficult to make good than like Leastron Discharge can basically be worked around to be awesome in Polynor, let's
right.
say. So them being the same cost just doesn't seem good to
Yeah.
me. I have this one at a C, maybe it's a C minus, but I think I'll stick at a C.
Yeah. I have this one as a D, and I don't think I'm gonna change for it. So all right. Moving on to Primal Blood and Order of the Shattered Throne, we have Call to Arms, which is a 2 cost elite spell channel speed. Reveal 1 card at a time from the top of your deck until you reveal an item. You may play it without spending Echo or add it to your hand. Shuffle the rest of the cards revealed this way into your deck. Um, I like this card a lot. I had it low initially. I don't know why. I think it was because I was just spamming units and stuff. But this is, great for finding, you know, you, most of the time I'm playing this when I'm playing like attachments like scouting boots, feral gauntlets, or other 2 cost attachments. So it goes tutors the item, pays the echo for it, and then allows you, because we're playing in Auric, whenever you play an item, it allows you to draw a card. So it's just a lot of card advantage. I feel I think it's really efficient. Yeah, I listed the items that I like, the feral gauntlets and boots. I think I'm usually fishing out. If you want to play some of the unique ones and try to hit those, great. But yeah, I think it's a solid card.
Agreed. I think it's just decent. I think it has its uses in Orc builds. It can only be played with Orc, and
Yep.
so I think it's just decent. I don't really have a ton to add on it. I think you covered most of, its play. It's very straightforward.
Yep.
Um, Fits into a lot of different builds with Orc. So
Yeah, I guess I'll caveat with I have a build with Auric where I spam the 1 cost ones, right? Like 3 shields and uh, three of the amulets, and they're each 1 cost. And really, for that, I'm just using them as cycle cards, as well as being able to chuck them with, like, destroy them with Auric's Legacy to prevent 2 damage or do 2 extra. Do not play this with those, right? That is not worth it, because the whole reason why you're doing that to begin is just to kind of cycle to find more units or better spells. This is just
yeah,
kind of going against that. I think so. I gave it a B minus. I don't know if we said that or no.
Yep, same. Yeah, B
Yeah.
minus.
All right, Rebounding Throw, another 2-cost elite spell, channel speed. An ally equipped with an item performs a range attack with +2 damage against an enemy within 6 inches. After resolving this attack, return the equipped item to its owner's hand. Because this is in Auric, you can destroy the item before returning it to your hand to not only gain back that echo, but also do another bonus 2 damage on top of it, which is sometimes a strong combo. Why don't you take this one first, though?
I have a question on ruling for you, actually, thinking about that, which you probably know, and I don't off the top of my head. If you destroy it using the legacy, does it still then return to your hand, a la Reversion, or
I don't think
meaning
so.
if okay.
I
I
think you
didn't think
just
so either. I think
yeah
you're right, but it's interesting
yeah it does
that
like
it doesn't sort of complete the resolution on that front.
yeah we might need to bring that back to the rules because our interpretation of how you interpret rules is you try to resolve everything to its complete. It's not like it doesn't this whole very rarely does the whole spell fizzle, right? You read a line, you try to complete it, and then you move on to the next line. And I wonder if transferring it from being on the board to your discard would actually bring it back to your hand. That would be make this a lot better because you would always destroy it then, get the one echo back or the echo back for the item
Yeah.
uh and yeah, and do the extra 2 damage. So yeah,
So I think this is, I don't know. I think this card is on its face in a vacuum really good. Um, I think on the table it tends to play worse than it reads as a card, which is what I've found. So, I mean, I'll just throw my grade out there. I initially had it at a B plus, and I don't know if how it plays out on the table is really as good as a B plus should be. You need an item. It can that can or cannot be a drawback depending on your draw. It's a little draw dependent. It can be a dead card. That's a little rough. Um, but on its face. Like it's a good card, right? I mean, it turns into an additional draw for Auric potentially if you replay the item. An extra attack at +2 damage or at +4 damage is actually
hmm
pretty darn good. It meets that sort of damage to echo ratio you want to look for. Um, I don't know. The card on its face just seems incredibly solid. And maybe you can speak to this more having played much more Auric, but it doesn't seem to play out on the table as good as it reads as a card.
yeah. This card often is just stuck in my hand, and I cannot play it, or there's no need to play it for the extra damage, right? Like the dream on this is getting procking extra of your crossbowmen attacks out of activation, right? Because they're already hitting at plus, on a hit 5. This goes to 7. Chuck an item, they're doing 9 damage. It's like whoa. I think the limitations of this is it has to be within 6 inches, right? And crossbowmen are 8, so it's really like sometimes they're just not in position to use it. And then the other thing is it's a ranged attack, so if you have like melee units that have items, you can't really use it because they're provoking a retaliation to use this, to use this essentially. So it's I found that it takes a lot of finesse to like actually get this and have it pay off. Um, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, so I had it at a B plus. I think realistically, having seen it on the table a number of times now, I'm more like a B minus with the card. I still think it's in the B range for me.
Okay. I did drop this all. I had this at I think B plus, and I just dropped it down to a C. I ended up taking these out of my deck and just replacing it with like Adrenaline Rush, which is just more universally good. I feel, but I don't know. I think the big thing is like you want to live the dream on crossbowmen, but it's really hard to hit on crossbowmen. And then there's not really other great ranged units that you're keeping back anyways with items on them to make use of attacks. And like I said, if you're trying to use this on a melee guy, they're probably already in melee and you're going to provoke retaliation, right? So it's like there needs to be other good ranged units other than I don't know. And even then they run into the same issue. It's like with the within 6 inches is really hard. I feel. But if you sorry, what I was trying to say is other range units you can use it on their activation, right? Crossbowman's limited to 1 per attack, so like if there is
Yeah.
another good range unit, you could walk like let's maybe Ambusher. Maybe Ambusher really likes this. you or is Ambusher the Primal Blood unit, right? The the range 12
Far
pinpoint
sight. Yeah,
far
far
sight
sight
Ambusher.
ambusher.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah, then he could walk in, make sure you get within 6 on your first activation, shoot once, and then use this another time to like do it, right? And that's my caveat with why it kind of weird. It's weird on the crossbowmen because you really have to have a foresight about like the turn before walking your crossbowman up to get in range to use this within 6 and not have it die next turn or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they
So
are a high priority target for sure.
yep, yep. All right, we'll move on. I gave it a C. You gave it a B, I think. Last one, we have Twinblades Skirmisher, 4 cost basic unit. It is 2 attack, 3/2 damage profile, 8 speed, 12 defense, 10 HP. It has Onslaught, which is 2 actions. This unit performs up to 3 separate melee attacks. Hit and run whenever this unit defeats an enemy. It may perform a free move. Um, yeah, this guy, solid stats for a 4 drop. 3/2, like instead of 3/1, is really good. 10 HP is pretty baseline. Speed 8 is great. Yeah, I love these guys a lot, but I think that I love them a lot because I'm making decks that make them excel, right? Like I'm putting shamans in, I'm putting
Yes.
items. Like I think by themselves, if they're not like the centerpiece, they're just okay. But you can really make these guys shine by like giving them like Feral Gauntlets, which help them hit, moving up to 4 attack, and then when they hit twice out of the 3 times they're onslaughting, they do an into bonus 3 damage. There's a lot of like the relics that make them really good. Boots, the retaliation boots, which I'm blanking the name on, to give them a free movement to get into onslaught range.
Scout
The
boots.
Reaper, obviously. Yep, Scout. Wait, what'd you say?
You say you're talking about the scout boots?
No, not Scout boots. The relic. The
Oh,
retaliate. I'm forgetting the name of the relic boots, but because they already have hit and run, so they don't need Scout boots.
right.
But yeah, these guys are really versatile, very very deadly. Um, Especially with things like shamans that can battle cry them to get them into position, or the man at or whatever the warfront commander can battle cry them. So I mean, Auric has the tools to make these guys excel, and they're really fun to play with if you haven't put them in a deck. But I think that if you put these in a deck, you have to have shamans just to get them to
Yeah.
facilitate the onslaught.
That's where I'm at with them too. So I originally had them at a B plus, and I think they are sort of this all around solid card. I think they fit a really nice niche in Auric in that they're speed 8. They can put out some solid damage. That said, they can be a little difficult to deliver. They can be a little underwhelming when you're doing multiple little sort of pings with onslaught that perhaps are just every single hit's getting reduced by resistance or you name it,
Yeah,
or you're just missing attacks or something, you name it. Um, I think you're right. I think that this card is okay and then becomes really good when you are building around it or building a deck that allows, I don't know, just has enough buffs, enough options for them to excel.
yeah,
And I think in a vacuum, they are just sort of okay. Um, I I think I had them at a B plus. I think I kind of was overvaluing their speed 8 a bit. I think speed 8 is still excellent. I think again it fills a very uh needed niche in Auric just in general with that speed 8, but they're more likely a B just because they really do require a lot of other pieces to kind of bring out their full potential.
yeah. I mean, yeah, these guys can turn into like mini bullets, essentially, like the assassin
Yeah.
bullets. Like I've had a game where the skirmisher picked up a relic that was like way off in the corner, and then on somebody else's turn I adrenaline rushed it, moved it 8 inches 10 inches forward because they were on pathways terrain, and then a shaman went and battle cried it again and it moved another 10 inches, and then like on its turn I think I like channeled like what is the free charge spell, whatever it is,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
and like it got to like literally across the board to Morta and in onslaught range, and it had Reaper in its hand, and then just like murdered Morta in a single activation and then ran away. So you can do some just like bizarre things with just these tiny guys, and like for 4 costs, a lot of people don't see it coming unless they know, uh, kind of have played into it or know what it's capable of. But I gave it a B. I think I don't know. I think even if you don't have a plan for them, they'll still get work done. But I think that a lot of people learned that you need to take these things off the table right away when
Yeah,
they see it field. So, what about you? Did you give it your grade?
I give it a B as well.
Okay,
I think I initially had it at a B plus and drop it down, I think.
sounds good. All right, we're on to Mortis spells, so Legion and Conclave. First one is Disembody for 2 cost Echo, spell Swift, elite spell. As a hit is scored against an ally, treat that hit as a graze. If you do, at the end of the activation, that ally may perform a free move without provoking retaliation. For the longest time, I thought that this also moved a graze down to just a complete miss, because like typically where you play this is like on your shades or your thrice murdered, which grazes automatically miss when you do that. But it does not do that. It only turns a hit to a graze. I still think it's really good. Um, and then the free move I think is also often overlooked, which can be quite strong. I know that you have
Yep.
more play experience with this, so I'll just I gave my initial thoughts on it, but yeah, I'll let you speak to it more.
Yeah, yeah, Morta is my love in this game for sure. And I think so this card is interesting because on its face, again, it's just okay. Um, I love it though. I play 2 copies in basically every Morta build. I think it provides some really unexpected defensive tech in a place that it's really just excellent, and that is when you're playing these Umberland Shades, you're playing Thrice Murdered, they have phasing, and you're right, it's basically just canceling out an attack. And the move after that present activation can just set up like legitimately blowout plays. Um, Especially sort of at the end of turn or something like that to either contest a relic, pick up a relic, or just move into a better position for a really strong, opening on the next turn. Um, I think that this card, I think that this card is again okay, and yet in the deck that can play it, I'm always playing two.
Yeah,
So my grade is a little tough. I think I would keep it at a B. I think it's a B card, and yet in Morta, I actually love this card, and I will probably just always play 2 copies of it. Maybe it comes out as a sideboard here and there as needed, but to side out. But honestly, I really love this card.
yeah. I think I think we haven't gone into it, but Murda is the ultimate permission seeker, right? Like literally, she has every single card that like you do anything, and you have to ask permission to your opponent. Like, can I continue? Like I pick a unit, I activate it. Do you have any responses? No, you don't have Dreadheart or Curse Lethargy. All right, I'm going to attempt to cast a spell. Oh, do you have a response? Like literally anything. Oh, I hit. Can I apply my damage? No. Like like it's just she has so many cards that like are swift that interrupt actions, and like that's why I think, like you said, without all those other things, this is just something you can play around. But like when you're trying to set up a turn to like get thundersteps across the board to like kill something, like you have there's about like 5 different layers where like something could go wrong, and
Yeah,
like you can just
yeah.
interrupt it and blow them out. So yeah, I gave it a B minus. I don't know. I haven't had him. I've that may be low, but I haven't played enough with this card. I think I played
Maybe a
Morta was like
bit,
one of
but
Morta was like my first, well, no, second Seeker that I played, and like I played her once, and then I moved on. But
yeah,
yeah, all right. What you gave a B, right? You said.
I gave it a B. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
sounds
I am
good.
always playing it. So yeah,
Yeah,
take that
I
for
would
what it
too.
is, listeners.
All right, Spell Plunder. 3 Echo Elite Spell, Channel Speed. Play a basic or elite spell from an opponent's discard pile without spending Echo. After resolving its effects, banish that spell. I'll let you go on this one too.
Yeah, so this is a super niche card. Um, it can be great. It can be incredibly uh potent against Polynor, where you're essentially removing cards that he can play and playing them yourselves. I think it's really, really good against Polynor. I think it's okay against anyone else that has powerful spells that you can actually replay. And I think it's garbage against a number of seekers that just aren't going to give you the spells in the graveyard. to actually make the card not a dead card. At 3 cost, I mean, that isn't that's no joke, right? 3 cost is um sort of a hefty investment for basically recycling a spell that your opponent has already played. I think you do kind of need that banishing portion of this spell to make it worth playing. And so saying all that, when it comes to spell plunder, I almost always have it in the sideboard for Morita simply for the Polynor matchup. And
Yeah,
even then, because I don't think Morita has a completely terrible Polynor matchup to begin with, this is really kind of a win more card, all said and done, for Morita. Like, this is not making a terrible matchup into Polynor playable or
yeah.
good.
What
It's
spells
just
are you?
making your
I was gonna say, what spells are you trying to hit into Polynor? Like Twin Flames and Stride,
Yeah,
or
you're
like
basically just trying to, well, you're basically trying to take anything that he would be recycling anyway. Discharge, Twin Flames, rarely Leastrum Stride, but if you know that you need to get it out of the
yeah,
graveyard, then sure.
sure.
Um, that's basically it. I don't, yeah, I mean,
TK maybe.
that really is basically it.
Yeah.
What's a, oh yeah, yeah, TK potentially as well. But that's, yeah, I mean, I think again, this is best used against Polynor. It's best used because it can banish things that he would otherwise be able to play and trigger his legacy. And it isn't really shoring up a bad matchup for Morita. And so I often found that even when I wanted to have this in the sideboard for the Polynor matchup, it was really getting kind of pushed out
Yeah.
for cards that helped against Morita's actually bad matchups.
Yeah. I think this would be a good card also if it was Swift Speed and could hit other Swift Speed spells, because then like in Polynor you can get that like
Then you could
Polynor is really
counters.
good
Yeah.
because he has double the amount of counters for neutralizing ward, right? And like being able to Swift Speed this to play his neutralizing ward out of his discard, or like oh God forbid Landrill, like if you hit like Renaissance Guard or Resonant Guard, whatever it is. I even tried to think about it that time. I was like, oh, I'm going to say the right one. Nope, never. We'll get to that spell in a little bit. But like, just like
Mhm.
other, I'm beginning to learn Swift Speed is a very big premium in terms of spells, and like it makes and breaks a lot of cards. I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I guess I didn't mean to cut you off there, but while you were
No,
talking,
that's
I'm
good.
just like trying to think like, man, 3 cost is a lot. I would love to see this hit Swift Speed spells
It
as
would
well.
create some really interesting like interactions, particularly with counter spells. Like I don't know if you play the plunder to play a counter, if Polynor could like respond by playing the counter. I don't know.
Maybe that's why they didn't
It
do
would
it. Yeah,
be really, yeah, it would get pretty messy there. I agree. I wish it was Swift. I think it would still probably be in my sideboard, potentially if it were Swift.
I'd put it
Presently, I
mid deck
don't
if it
think
was
it
Swift,
is.
but
Yeah, maybe, maybe. I had this at a C. I had it at a C because I think it's a super solid sideboard card into Polynor, and we saw a lot of Polynor early on in sort of the local and online meta. I think that matchup is actually not that bad for Morita, and this card ends up getting pushed out of my sideboard a ton. I'm probably at a C minus D plus with it.
yeah, I'm at a D plus for it. I think. Um, so yeah, all right, we'll move on to the last card, which is really great. Umberland Shade, 3 cost basic unit, 1 attack, 3/1 damage profile, 8 speed, 11 defense, 10 HP. Phasing, when a graze is scored against this unit, it prevents the damage. Flying, when moving, this unit can pass over any obstacle. I'll let you go first since it's more to.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite unit in the game. I think that this card is fantastic. I think it can be frustrating. I think its only downside is that it can be frustrating that it has 1 attack and a 3/1 damage profile, and so often, if your rolls are even average against some opponents, you're just plinking
Yep.
for 1 damage. That said, phasing and flying on a 3 cost unit that is 8 speed is so, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so good. I think that this unit has, I think it's a very difficult to remove from the board, and it is like sneaky difficult to remove from the board. When you are not getting your graze damage in, Even against 11 defense, it can be a real pain in the butt. If you have relics that are pumping any defensive stat for this unit, they are incredibly difficult to remove. And then the fact that it is a speed 8 flyer, as we know from Gargoyles and Thrice Murdered and others out there, it's also not clumsy, right?
Yeah.
Raptor, get out of here. And so it's a flyer that can go where you need it to go, and it's just absolutely fantastic for board control. Additionally, we all know Morida's legacy is discard a basic uh, fallen unit, and a basic fallen unit on the board gets an ability from that unit. This is a prime target for discarding and handing things out. Handing out phasing uh, is fantastic. So we haven't really gone into the legacies and seekers yet on this channel, but just as a quick little primer on Morida, her soul tethering, I think it's called, or soul stitching, is swift speed, meaning that you can respond to a graze on something else on the board by discarding a unit. You can literally watch them roll a graze, discard this, give your unit phasing, and cancel out that roll. You can even watch them roll a hit, play Disembody, then respond to discard the shade, give them phasing, and cancel out a hit, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, Handing out flying is also super potent with Morida. And then the other, and this is sort of a weird thought, regarding Morida and the shades, but she's often stuck in the backfield summoning because she gives you so much value with necromancy. This card is actually one of the best to resurrect with necromancy because it is a speed 8 flyer. It's actually going to get up the board, get to places that matter much quicker than basically everything else that you are uh, necroing with Morida. So there's kind of like this weird little hidden benefit there too. Um, I love this card. I think it's my favorite creature in the game.
Yeah.
I really like it. Morida is happy she can take this.
Yeah, I'll just add that like playing against these things, they're annoying. But I think the oftentimes like a little inside tip for when you're playing against Morta is Morta's so strong because of shades and the soul stitching and stuff and giving flying and phasing and like the responses because she can often beat you on board with positioning, right? Like that she can just catch you out like oh I think I'm gonna go and I'm gonna corner this archer, right? And then all of a sudden this archer gets flying, flies over a wall, and you just ran away with a relic. And I'm like, well, crap, you know. Um, I think that like especially with this unit, when this unit's on the board, you can't worry about its offensive capabilities because I've had like Twinblade skirmishers last like 3 rounds fighting like 2 of these things at once just because
Mhm.
they're doing like 1 damage and not doing anything. Um, and grazing a lot and like you can't kill them either, but like I that's what I guess I'm trying to say is like don't be don't worry about their offensive capability. You have to plan for like where they can be in terms of like picking up things or like triggering like swarm for other units. That's where like these things become dangerous. It's not really what they can do with their attacks. It's just where they can end up and be annoying for you. So yeah, I gave it a B
Yeah.
plus.
I have it in an A minus. And I think if this had like 2 attack or was a 3/2 damage line, this thing would just be a solid A for me.
Well, yeah, 3-2 would
Um,
be ridiculous, but but if
but
yeah,
yeah,
it
A minus.
yep. And also, it's only 11 defense, so like yeah, you're only missing, like you're hitting 50% of the time, but your grazes do nothing. So like these things will die eventually, but in Morta she just brings them back, which is more annoying. So
Mhm.
yeah, but all right. Last Dual Seeker. So we have 3 cost elite spell Swift Resonant Guard. This is the card I always pronounce as Ridiculous Guard, Renaissance Guard. I don't know, like to me, I think Resolute Guard is like the appropriate name. I don't know what's like. I guess the armor is kind of
Probably true.
resonating, but the name doesn't make sense to my brain, so I keep on like messing it up. I'm calling it whatever it does. But yeah, it's prevent up to X damage that would be dealt to an ally from a single source, where X is equal to the number of spell cards in your discard pile. You gain equal to that amount. This card is just stupid bonkers
It's
good.
bananas. Yeah, it's absolutely bananas. I originally was like, my initial notes on this card were literally, I think this card is bananas. Then I gave it an A minus because on its face, its first couple turns, you really don't see how bananas this card is if you're playing it turn one, turn two, maybe turn three, but legitimately like turn three onwards, this card is unbelievably good.
Yeah.
You can go into how that is the case, but this
I
card
mean,
is so good.
yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the Landrill build, but like I think this along with the priests are the main reason why, the deck, if you guys have been following the channel, there's a Landrill build called the deck that we've been playing and kind of pioneering. It just, it makes it so nothing ever dies, and it's priest generating echo through prey, and then this card that just lets you live forever and just generates so much echo that you can put out your giant units that have protection and spread damage. Um, yeah, this card is just always like I think maybe once I had to use this to pay for itself, like to just get the 3 echo back, but you're also proccing the
Yeah,
legacy on top of it. Mondrill's legacy is whenever you prevent damage, even if you don't prevent all the damage, just a portion of it, you get to reveal the top card, or you can look at the top card of your deck. If you want to, you can reveal it. If it is a spell, you have to draw the spell. But if it's a unit, you can either place it on the top or bottom and then gain 2 echo. If it's a spell you don't want to draw, I don't know why you wouldn't draw the spell because there's no like hand limit or anything, but you could put that spell on the bottom. But yeah, it's this match with Landrill's Legacy is just ridiculously good because again, you can almost, it's a bonus 2 echo if you hit a unit. Otherwise, it's a free card draw as well on top of
yep.
it. So yeah, this card will snowball you games for sure. Um, like what usually when it comes down, you've been playing spells like Convoke to get your priests out. You've been playing rewrites to also generate echo or filter multiple cards to your deck. Uh, I've hit this. I think my biggest one was like a 10, right, with 10 spells in the discard, and you're generating 7 additional echo on top of it. That's like a whole other turn. It's just, yeah, it's just bonkers.
Yeah, my biggest in our tournament that we, made a video covering, I think was 8 or 9, um, in that event. And it was, yeah, I mean, just nuts
Yep.
on the swings of Echo that this can give you. Um, I had it at an A minus. It is not an A minus. This is just a flat A plus card.
Yeah. It's really good, and it's Swiss feed, right? I mean, it has to be Swiss feed, but
Yeah.
like, I think the thing of why I keep on saying that is like the number of interactions on Swift speed. Like, there's only one other. Well, there's 2 counters. We'll get to the second one in a second, but there's one counter in the whole game that lets you do something at Swift speed, and it's unique or whatever. Yeah, unique. So
Yeah.
and it's only access in blue. So it's just, yeah, it has, I don't know. It's really good. I think we'll just move on
Yeah.
from there. Play the card. Put it in your deck if you're playing Mondrill. Uh,
Yep.
all right. Reversion. This is 3 cost elite spell. Swiss speed. As a spell is played, cancel it before resolving its effects. Instead of placing that spell in the discard pile, return it to your owner's hand at the end of the activation. Um, Whoa. Wait a second. Return to owner at the end. Oh, at the end of the activation. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I was like. Okay. So the one thing that I mean, it's fairly recent in the last, like, I learned it back in, before the Madison tournament, I think, but so like a couple weeks. But if you reversion a spell, they can't replay that spell until the next activation, which really screws them, right? So if they played like something that costs 3 echo and they had 10 open, you bounce it back to hand, but even then they still can't replay it because it says you
I
can't. It goes to at the end of the activation. So it's like kind of the card is put
What's
away in this
interesting,
void until like the end of the activation. Then they can
yeah.
put it back in their hand. Um,
What's interesting too, and one way that I have not been playing it, I realize now is it doesn't even return to their hand until the end of activation. So if you have any discard type effects, like this can't hit that.
hmm,
The return spell.
sure.
It's not
Yeah.
returning until the end of the activation. It's a niche thing, but certainly I have not been playing it that way. I have been playing it where I'm just like, okay, yeah, it goes back
Yeah.
to
It
your
goes.
hand. You can't
Yep.
play it,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this activation. Really, it just kind of what sits in a void until the end of the activation.
Yeah.
Um, as you said, I mean, it's a counter spell that can target swift spells. It's one of two in the game. It is an elite spell. You can actually have two of it, which gives Landriel three counter spells that can target swift spells.
Yep.
Um, Palinor is the only other seeker. I guess Morta can too. Morta gets access to one unique one that she can play once.
Yep.
Uh, Palinor has access to that same one unique one that he can, ostensibly play twice.
No, he can't.
Um,
It's only a leader basic for Palinor's Legacy, so he can only play that
oh,
one
so
once.
he can play it once as well. And
Yep.
then we have Landriel who gets three.
Yep.
Um, this card, yeah, this card's top tier.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I mean, I guess we'll go more into the Landriel deck, but it's just all the different ways to proc your legacy, right? This is procking your legacy too. So you play it, and again, same process. You're either going to draw a spell or you're going to gain two echo, and either top or bottom a unit card. It's just, yeah. I think just the number of though how hard you can lean into Landriel's legacy is what makes her so good. So yeah. I mean, some of these
Mm.
cards
Solid.
I'm curious, like uh, Resonant guard. If they come out with another Conclave Shattered Throne Seeker, I think that like it just automatically goes in. Like I don't know. I'd be hard pressed to find some of these
Yeah,
cards that they've already printed in the for this dual faction Seeker that aren't just going to be staples forever, right? Like same with this one. Like I'd be hard pressed to not put it in. Just countering
yeah.
Swift speed spells is really strong in this game. So yeah, I gave it an A as well. Warden's Lancer. This is the last card. So 5 cost basic unit. It is 2 attack, 3/2 damage, 8 speed, 13 defense, 10 health. Riposte. Whenever a graze is scored against this unit, it may retaliate after the damage is resolved. Spell strike. If you played a spell activation, this unit gets +1 damage until the end of the activation. Yeah, I'll let you go first in this last one.
Yeah, I mean, I think its abilities are both good. Speed 8 is very, very good. Defense 13 is actually pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, you compare it to it's a 5 cost, right? The other faction that has 5 cost cards is Shattered Throne. So we're looking at like the Knight or the Revenant.
Yep.
And I think it's trading a decent amount of good stats and good abilities for that extra 3 speed over those other units. I think that extra 3 speed is really good
Hmm.
and often needed, but I, I think that this unit tends to feel lackluster in a lot of ways with its stats and sort of interactions with its abilities, particularly its 10 health, its low damage if you're not spell striking, and you're really leaning on it for that 8 speed almost entirely. So I think as we found, and you can go into this too, but as we found with building Landriel, we just kept cutting more and more of these.
Yep.
And at this point in the present build that we both really like, there's one copy. And that one copy is really in there to make sure the Convoke itself is not a dead card. If you already have enough priests on the board, or you have no priests left in the deck,
Hmm.
or there are maybe some niche scenarios where you want to search out something with 8 speed. But beyond that, it's this card's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I like the little one copy of it in the current Landrio build. Beyond that, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of just
Yeah, I agree. I do think that you're not playing this card in the Landriel deck that we play unless you have to, like because you just didn't hit any other units, and
yeah.
you need the extra unit on board to proc more activations, to cast more spells, and get the engine going. But I will say that I do think that in a vacuum, if this card 1v1s any other 4 cost unit or below, so like at the top of the 4 cost, there's like Mauler, the Cabra Mauler, as well as like the Twinblade Skirmisher. I think this guy will beat anything 4 below in a 1v1 matchup without any spells or help or anything like that, just because of riposte and the 13 defense and the 10 health. And then he's hitting at 3-2. So, like, I think that, if you have to go off and do something and, like, hey, like, I'm going to go contest this relic and something and shoot it off and, like, Like I think it
Yeah,
could. It's not awful, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The problem is like
that's
oftentimes fights aren't 1v1, right? And then this guy gets pretty
well,
fun.
there's that, and I think in my experience, I found too, this guy tends to struggle with really finishing the job. So there have been a few games I've played, Morida into Landry, and this actually wasn't even into you, but one of our local players where he had a Warden Lancer on the board. He sent it out to get a relic. He kind of maybe broke the play pattern that we do with Landro, where he kind of, broke away from that death bubble of
Yeah,
Landro stuff, but he did it to go grab that relic and try to get a head on board. And I was able to fly in an archer, so the undead archer, with Morida, and it was just a slap fight for forever. It just never mattered. And 90, I already had a relic on that archer, so he was just contesting the relic, and I just literally never attacked. I just sat there. And this guy
yeah,
could just not, the whole game, this guy could not kill
yeah,
the archer between, disembodies and phasing, sure, but like without, if somebody isn't triggering riposte, this unit really
yeah.
struggles
But he would
to kind of
eventually
close the
still
deal.
win. It just might take him the whole game to do it.
Yeah, he still hadn't by the time that game ended. So yeah, it's a struggle
uh,
sometimes.
that's fair. All right, I gave it a C plus actually after all that.
I
So
think yeah, I think a C plus is correct.
all right,
Maybe a B minus, but I think a C plus is fine.
all right. Yeah, overall thoughts, I guess, just before we get into the attachments. I think that Landril, the Conclave Shattered Throne, is
Yeah.
the clear winner. Like, most of her cards are just ridiculously good. I do think that they did a pretty good job leaning into Seeker identity for like all of them. So I
Mhm.
think that like if you were playing a dual faction Seeker, starting with these cards, right? At least give them a try, put them in your deck and give them a try, and then figure out like they lean into most of them lean into their legacy, right? Like what you're trying to do with the legacies and stuff like that. So I think that they're a good start. Although I think as you play them, just like we did, you'll find that some of them maybe aren't worth it, right? Spell Plunder or Rebounding Throw, like that's a personal preference for me. But like yeah, I think that over time, they're good to start, but you'll find your own play patterns with them. So anything else to add to
Yeah.
that?
No, I would just say so many of these dueling cards really are top tier. I mean, almost all of the seekers that can play these cards are playing at least two and
Yeah,
sometimes all three of the dueling cards available to them, which I think is a really um a good indicator that these cards were, they make taking a dual ink caster worth it, right? You are getting the or dual faction caster
yeah.
worth it. They are
5 Echo short.
making up for that five echo, yeah,
Yeah,
shortfall. And I think that that's good. That's
yeah.
great.
All right, and then just before we get into items, I don't know. I just wanted to address this, I guess, because when I went through grading items, I just kind of felt like they were all like meh, and I think that my grade for items, I was only grading them against other items, not other cards, right? It's very hard to like compare like what this item does to like a unit, right? Like it just they're two different things, and I think that you can't evaluate themselves like against other spells, and like their impact isn't as strong for units and spells. Um, Otherwise, they'd all just be like D's and C's. I feel like so. Like I kind of went and tried to stretch that a little bit. I think just to get a little bit more variance in like our grades for attachments. But just like attachments in general, I feel like are in a weird spot because they can't be too strong because they're competing with relics, right? Like they want the game to feel like relics are really strong when you get one. It feels really powerful. Well, here these are attachments that I can have, like these items I can put in my deck and just deploy anything, and there's no contention. I just have to find them in my deck, right? Um, so I feel like I'm interested to see where they go from a design perspective with attachments because I think it's a great like design space, but like it feels like there's a ceiling on them to like how good they can make them just
Yeah.
because they're always going to be competing with the relics. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of just my my thoughts. Do you have anything to add? I guess in when you
I
like are
don't.
evaluating them?
I think you're right. They're just in a really weird design space I find it very difficult to find room for attachments in anything that
Yep.
isn't orc.
I would agree with that. You really have to justify them, and most of them don't have a significant impact to like what they're doing. Also, they're giving up mastery, which is huge, right? Like I
Yeah.
think I'm curious what the conversations were like to make that decision to give up mastery for them, because I think that that's just another step in the wrong direction for putting them in your deck most often than not, right? But here we
Yeah,
are.
that's fair. I guess I haven't really had that thought before, but it's a really good one. And I think maybe one to just extra highlight. Attachments might actually, I might have a much more positive view of attachments if they didn't give up mastery.
Yeah. Yep. Because like some of these are 2, 3 costs. That's a whole unit, right? Like,
Yeah.
like are these attachments doing as much as a Stitch Corpse or a Terran Beast? Well, probably not. Like like the
Yeah.
3 cost ones for the unique. Like, yeah, and it is the card themselves, right? It's taking up a card themselves. So yeah, we'll get into it, and then here we go. First one, Amulet of Vigor. 1 cost basic unit. This unit gets +3 maximum health. I only use this as cheap cycle
Yeah.
for Auric. Yeah, it gives a little bit of bonus health, but most of the times I'm using it to push through more damage and draw a card in Auric. Otherwise, this card has never seen any scope.
Exactly where I'm at. I think it's exactly where I'm at. I think it's decent in Auric
Yep.
because it's 1 cost and it has a little bit of a cool benefit. I think it's not worth a card slot otherwise.
Yeah.
And I had it at a C minus, but I think it's more like a D plus.
Okay. I put it at a D minus. Even then, like I don't think every Auric deck wants this. Like it's not just like, oh, I'm playing Auric, like shove these in there. Like I said with the Call to Arms spell, you don't want to be spending your 2 cost, call to arms to hit this and play it for free. You'd rather go after the attachments that do more impact. So, all right, next one, 2 cost elite feral gauntlets. This unit gains +2 attack and gains Ren 3. Whenever this unit scores a second melee hit against the same enemy during an activation, it deals 3 extra damage. Um, I think these might be actually the best offensive item in the game. I'm really valuing plus hit a lot more. Also, I should say these images I realize are old. I grabbed them, but a lot of the things that modify base stats are now keyworded abilities, so they don't stack, right? So these gauntlets. This is an old image. I don't know if they've updated the card images, but it I think it just says +2 attack or something like that. So like if you look at other items that give +2 attack, they're not going to stack, right? Like later down, I think there's a knife, a thief's knife or something like that that also gives +2 attack. If you had both of these on the same unit for somehow, like maybe it's the battle master or whatever, you can't you can't gain both of them. And there's some relics that give some stats as well that these will kind of conflict with, but anyway, that being said, yeah, I think plus attack is great. Rend 3, I think, is great for units that can onslaught, like Twinblades Skirmishers. There's other things that can, give like 2 or 3 attacks that I think benefit from these. I'm thinking like Sigareth when you shield stuff and you can counterattack, or Valorous Command, right? Like I think these are great if you have ways of giving your units 3 attacks in a single activation. Then it's more reliable that you'll hit the damage, especially with the +2 attack. So anything of note for you?
I don't like this card. Um,
That's fair.
I don't rate the plus attack super high. And I just think a second melee hit is so limiting. It's so dice dependent. It just, I don't know. I agree that like when it hits, it's good. I agree that it might be the best offensive item. It's hard to say. I think I'm higher on a couple of the others
Hmm.
because of the abilities that they give. Um, I don't know. I'm just not super high on this card. I have it at a D plus. Maybe it's a C minus, but I wouldn't go higher than that
Yeah.
personally.
I have it at a B minus again. That's because like it's not like I'm comparing this to other B minus cards. It's just like in terms of the items, this is a B minus to me, and none of them are A's.
Fair.
I'll say, but like this is the higher end of items for me. I will say it's an X. So at first time I read this, I thought this worked the same way as Snapjaw Chain, which is just deal. It takes 3 damage on hit. So I thought it was a separate source, which can be good if you're trying to like bypass
Oh
like
yeah, the
protection and stuff.
extra
Well,
damage.
yeah, but it's good in situations where like you're trying to get away protection or something like that, where it's in a separate source. but it's worse for things that are like going against resistance, right? Because let's say I hit for 3, and then this procs, and I do another 3. That's only 2 and 2, but 3 extra damage I think is 3 plus 3, which is 6, which goes down to 5, right? So I think that it's actually better
It's
being
better
extra
against
damage. Yeah,
resistance. Oh yeah,
but
worse against protection or
right.
some of the, damage prevention spells and
Yep.
things.
Yep. So yeah, I gave this a B minus. So we'll move on. I just want to blow through these. Again, I don't think many of these are very interesting. One cost basic item, Great Shield. This unit gains +1 defense and gains Shield Wall, while other allies are nearby, they gain +1. If this unit already has Shield Wall, it increases by 1 instead. So if you give it to, your Knight or your, I'm forgetting, Exemplar, one of those two, it gets Shield Wall too. Uh, +1 defense is just 5% chance for your opponent to miss. I think this is not doing anything good. Again, in Auric, just to cycle and push through 2 other extra damage, but otherwise is +5% chance for your opponent to miss really worth the card? Probably not. I don't think I would ever play this in anything else.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like I was higher on this card prior to testing it pretty extensively, and I think that so I had it at a C then. So take that for what it is, right? I had it at a C when I was fairly high on this card,
Hmm.
particularly in early Londriel builds that we were testing. And it came out of our Londriel build specifically because we tested so much and found that it just really wasn't worth the card slot. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had it at a C. I think it's a D card.
Yeah, I will say that I think a lot of like our like I come from other systems where you're rolling like 2d6 and stuff like that to hit, or like but with the d20 system it's all linear. So like once I did the math and I realized this is just a 5% plus 5% chance to make your opponent miss, like it got way worse for me. So what did you end up giving? What's your change grade?
I think I'd bring it down to a D.
Okay, all right.
It
Next
has
item.
some utility.
Yeah. Horned Helmet, 2 cost, elite. This unit gains +1 damage and gains knockback 4 when this unit scores a hit and may push the defender forward. I'm assuming this is your highest graded offensive weapon, so I'll let you take it.
Yeah, it is. And it isn't because I think it's particularly potent offensively per se. I think it's just the fact that I mean, plus damage is great. It's
Hmm.
cool. I don't know if it's worth 2 echo, but the board control aspect to it, I think is good. I think that the fact that it gives you a little bit of board control, it can synergize with red terrain potentially, which I think unfortunately is probably my lowest pick in terms of terrain right now, as much as I love it. But the fact that we have all day native positive damage and a board control aspect to this item does have me it's my highest, I think, in terms of offensive item and then where I would rank them. So
Yeah.
I have it at a B.
I am very low on knockback. I don't think it's very good. I think it's fairly easy to prevent against. I don't
That's
know.
true.
I kind of evaluate this card as a +1 damage with you know, some niche case upside. But yeah, I mean, just going
I
back to
think
Feral
B's probably
Gauntlets,
high on it.
like hitting is so much better. Like if you are looking at damage, right, an extra 10% chance to hit your unit, and like usually the difference between hitting and grazing is like 2 damage. Like I don't know. I feel that's why I think, and then you have the bonuses if you double hit, you get another 3. Like that's why I put Feral Gauntlets above this. But I mean, this is great for putting on range units. I think is typically like I look at putting this in before I put in the next one, which is the bow for range units. So I gave this a C plus. You already said your grade or no?
I said a B. I think C plus is probably pretty accurate.
Okay,
Having played more.
fair enough. All right, and then it's the next one, Hunter's Bow, 2 cost elite item. This unit gains +3 range, and then ranged expert 1. This unit gains +1 on range attacks. Oh, one thing to note on the helm: this damage is not keyworded at all. So like it will stack with everything, which is something to denote. And then um, this range expert, there's actually already a couple of abilities where we already see this. It's on crossbowmen, so putting this on a crossbowman does absolutely nothing. And then Veil Piercer, which is what everyone's trying to get their hands on for the relic, is also a ranged expert. So this with Polynor, with the Veil Piercer when you get it on him isn't stacking. Just to note. So yeah, I sorry. Go ahead. I don't really have that. That was kind of actually already my
There's
notes.
not
Yeah.
much more. Yeah, there's not much more to say. Plus range is good. Plus damage is good. The fact that it doesn't stack in ways that I think way back when I first played Polynor, probably at Adepticon, I thought it stacked.
Yep.
This made this card feel a lot better than it really is. Had it at a B minus, this card is for sure for me in the C's. I like the plus range still. I think that
Hmm.
there's potentially some seeker focused strategies that need their big, heavy ranged hitter to have that extra range, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Card, it's still probably not worth a card slot.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think in Polynor, if you're looking to put in something to bump up his damage because he has such a glass cannon, I would look to put in Helm before this, just because of the off chance that you do hit Veil Piercer, right, or something like that. But that's
Yeah.
just me. All right, we got the first unique one. Reinforced Plate. This unit gains +2 defense and also gains Ironclad 2. This unit gains +2 against range attacks. I think this is also keyworded, right? So it would not the just the base 2 defense. So this would not stack with Reliquary, for example. Actually, I'm curious if they change Shield, the Great Shield, as well. But they would still benefit from the shield wall part of it, but not, if somehow you got 2-on-1, I don't think it would gain the base +2. Um, yeah, this is significant. I feel like this is +10% chance to miss, and then +20 if you're getting shot at. This is I will give a call out to Oliver in the Madison. He actually said this is a great sideboard card, and ever since I've been evaluating it as that. So I put this in my Londriel sideboard as well as other things that I really just don't want to get shot at. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, +2 to 4 defense is actually significant. I think this is probably one of my favorite items, if not my most favorite item, really, just on its face in a vacuum. All that said, I still don't know where it fits really in terms of deck building.
Yeah.
It's
The
potentially a sideboard card in certain builds for sure. But even then, I mean, it's a single card you're citing in for particular matchups. I don't know. I'm
do you
I'm
would
I'm torn on this one.
would you like it more if it wasn't unique and you could put like elite and you could put two in? Like I feel
Yes,
like the unique hurts it, right? Because it's like you just can't
I
rely
agree.
on hitting it. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah. All right, we'll move along. I gave a C plus. You said B minus or
I think I'd leave it at a B minus on its
okay.
face, though it might be more like a C plus, but B minus is fine.
Okay. Ring of Vitality, 3 cost unique. This unit gets regeneration 3. When you activate this unit, it recovers 3 health. I had this a little bit higher, especially because I think that, tank units and stuff, but I think there's just so much regen already in the game that this is bad, and I actually lowered it all the way to an F. I don't foresee myself ever wanting to put a 1 of this in my deck.
Yeah. My initial notes were this game rewards target priority and focus firing. I think that that's still true. I think competitive play catches on to that. I do think, as we've found, that the defensive strategies in this game are incredibly potent right now.
Hmm.
And this does play into that. That is pretty much the only thing keeping it from an F for me. I think it's overcosted at a 3 cost, like
Yeah,
wildly so. Um, yeah, I mean it's a D minus for me, and it's barely
yeah.
hanging on.
I need to make Ring of Protection to give resistance 1 to a unit in this. I mean,
Yeah,
like I was
yeah.
just thinking, like when you're like regeneration 3, because it only procs when you activate the unit, so it's at most once a turn, right?
Give
And
me
then
a unique 3 cost Ring of Protection,
right,
resistance 2.
okay, that
I think
might
would
be
be
breaking
sweet.
the cat. It might need to be more than that, but yeah, I mean, just if this was resistance 1, I guarantee you it sees more than 3, like consistently more than 3 health a turn on a unit and would do more work. So yeah. All right. Sacred Prayerbook, 3 cost, unique. This unit gains Inspire 2 while their allies are within 6 inches. They gain 2, and then Pray 4, which is 1 action. And for each other ally within 6 inches, gain up to 1 echo, up to 4 echo for the whole activation, and it provokes retaliation. Um, this is just really expensive. I feel like a 3, like it's 1 less than a priest, and you get the body, and you can do other stuff, and like,
Yeah.
all the abilities are good. I don't know. It, again, it suffers from the being unique, right? You only one in your deck. You can't rely on it. You can't really build around it. I think that this could be good in something like Vorendell that like wants to brick up, right? And they don't have access to pray or echo generation really abilities. So outside of like Soul Whisperers, which and the other vampire guys that are I can't. What's the ability when you kill something you gain echo? Um,
I can't think of it right now either.
yeah,
Soul or
but
essence.
Essence
Essence.
Finder. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I think it's all good abilities. I don't know if I want to. I hate spells or cards that are like one of that aren't like super niche, right? And like this isn't a niche card. Like I feel like if you have it, like it dictates a certain play style. You're wanting to brick up more and utilize it. It's not just something you can like put off on a unit and then like have it go run off and do crazy things with it, right? So it requires a certain board state, I guess, which is for you to be grouped up and like how do you pre-plan for that if you know you're never like you can't guarantee drawing it. So I gave it a D minus, but yeah, sorry, I should have let you go with thoughts, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I think it's an interesting item. I think Inspire's okay. Oh, can you hear me?
yep, I can.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's my internet's being a little funky at the moment. It's a high initial investment. It's comparable to a priest. They're not in the same league though, as you said, due to the sort of absence of a body. My notes are literally, it's probably playable, and I think that that's still where I'm at with it. I think Pray 4 is neat and strong in and of itself, but on a 3 cost unique unit, meh. I'm at a
Yep.
C minus with it.
Okay. I'm at a D minus with it. I just don't think that like it's one of those like all these items. There's not a really good way to consistently hit them or get them out and stuff. And like I don't feel like they're gonna have as big of an impact as like your unique units and stuff like that. So I feel like it just like getting enough games with them to accurately evaluate them. Like I don't know. I feel like the times you do hit this and you play it, like is it really gonna win you the game or do something significant? Right? Like I just don't know. Um, I'm not that high on it. So. All right, Scoundrel's Blade, 2 cost basic. This unit gains +2 attack and then also gains Swarm 1. This unit gets +1 damage on attacks against enemies engaged with another ally. Um, I don't know. This seems just too expensive compared to like like when we talk about like the range and stuff of all the like we have Pharaoh Gauntlets, we have Helm, we have Bow. This is clearly way below all those. I feel like. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts on it. Like I would rather take Pharaoh Gauntlets and try to hit the rend than I think the Swarm one, but maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But
I don't know. I think it's funny that this is probably best on a ranged unit, despite being a blade,
oh yeah.
which is interesting. All that said, I don't know if I like this better than the Feral Gauntlets. Maybe. I think I do a bit, but I think all said and done, it's kind of in the same realm for me. I think I'm still just at sort of a D plus with it. It just doesn't necessarily feel worth it.
Yeah, I wonder if like 1 cost like it's hard because like your difference between 2 to 1 is so large like in terms of like echo but like I don't know can it get do could we do 1 attack and swarm could we do no attack and swarm right like just 2 costs for these I think is just not worth it in my opinion but yeah I gave it a D as well you said D plus sorry
Yeah.
all right Scout's Boots. This unit gains +2 movement and gains hit and run whenever this unit defeats an enemy and may perform a free move. This is probably the best item I think in the game right now.
I
It's
agree.
just so strong. You put it on Rogarth, you put it on Thundersteps, you put it on Vorendell. You all make use of it. You can put 3 copies in your deck, so you're consistently hitting it. Yeah, I think it's just amazing.
I think this is the one unit that I feel like is actually good
Yeah.
right
Or
now,
item. Yeah.
honestly. Item, yeah, yeah, item. Sorry, not unit. And I think it's playable. Yeah, I have it at a B plus. I think it's going to see the most play. I think it deserves to see the most play.
Hmm.
Um, I like it.
Yeah, I guess we should mention the reason why I put it on those is because this hits the hit and run triggers on defeat. Vrogarth and Thundersteps both have cleave, which also triggers on defeat. So if you have these on them, they can defeat a unit, and then you order which way you want to resolve things. So you can do hit and run first. It moves, and then you can make your cleave attack, so they can kind of like weed whack the entire board. Same thing with Vorendell with
Onslaught.
onslaught. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you can just trigger onslaught, and it says make 3 attacks, but then hit and run will interrupt him, so you can get 3 attacks. He kills one, moves, kills another with the second attack, so on and so forth. And
yeah.
there's probably more, right, that benefit from hit and run. I think hit and run is just an amazing ability that gives you extra actions for something that you're gonna want to be doing anyways, which is defeating enemy units. So yeah,
And I think +2 speed native is
yeah,
just good in and of itself too, in a way that some of the other like offensive or even defensive buffs from the items just don't aren't quite good enough to
right,
sort of make up for their cost. I do think additional speed might just be almost good enough. And
yep,
then you add in hit and run, and this is actually playable and pretty good.
yep. All right, I give it a B. You said B plus, right?
B plus, yeah.
Perfect. All right, Shadow Shroud, 2 cost elite unit, or elite item. This unit gains ambush 1. This unit gains +1 attack damage rather on attacks against refreshed enemies. The big thing here is a lot of people will put this in their Vorndell or sideboard for people that play the ambush terrain or the obscuring terrain, which it's the Legion terrain. I'm blanking the name on it right now. But deploying a unit with this allows you to place them completely in that terrain rather than reinforcing them off of an in unit or in your deployment zone. So strong effect for the deployment, but outside of that, I don't like ambush 1. I don't know. I don't think it's really that valuable. So, what about you, Zach? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Um, I think this card is only good if you are playing or playing against green terrain, in which case it's decent. And I don't foresee myself playing it otherwise.
Yep.
I think its damage buff is not good in and of itself, but the fact that it allows you to sort of additionally interact with the green terrain in some way makes it okay
Yep.
and probably decently playable.
Yep. I gave it a C minus.
I have it at a C, but a C minus is probably appropriate.
Okay. And then the last one, which I'm curious if your grade changed on this, is winged sandals, 3 cost unique. Gains +2 movement, just like Scout's Boost, and then also the unit gains flying, which while moving, this unit can pass over any obstacles. These are just way too expensive for their effect, I feel like. And again, one of like, I just don't know if it's ever really going to come into a situation where I'm like, oh man, I'm finally glad I got my wing boots, right? I don't know. I think I'd rather be spending the 3 echo elsewhere. Just too expensive for little effect.
I think, yeah, again, I mean, I think the +2 speed in and of itself is good. If these were 2 cost, I'd actually think that they were pretty decent. I had it initially at a B, and I think if it were a 2 cost, it would still be a B, which just goes to show that, its grade needs to be lowered. I think it's um, basically entirely outshined by the Scout Boots. Um, I think flying is really good, but I don't think that it is so much better than hit and run that it's all of a sudden worth a unique, I don't know,
Yeah,
ranking of a card and an additional echo. Um, I think that this is probably, it gets tough. It is playable. It's just
I
never going to
disagree.
find a slot because Scout Boots exist. So
Yeah,
I think that this is like a D minus as a result. But you
okay.
take Scout Boots out and maybe it's a little better.
I gave it enough. I can't imagine ever putting this in a deck. Like the thing about Scott Boots is it's giving you extra actions. This thing just doesn't, passing over obstacles or, like I don't know. Like it's like okay, just find another way to do what you're trying to do. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel. But
Yeah, That's fair.
I think if this was a relic, it could be a fine relic, right? You know, like because then it's situationally good. But like, do I want to put it in my deck and justify a spot for it and pay echo and all this other? You know, like I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna do it. We finally made it through. It took us 2 months, but we finally got there. Feels good to finally get through, and now we'll be on to bigger and better things. I think we want to do a couple deck reviews, a lot of insight, and thoughtful discussions on different aspects of the game, terrain placement, husk placement, right? Like different placements or interactions where we think that a lot of the competitive advantage comes from. So it's good to finally get these done with, and then now we can move on to other things. Do you have any other kind of final thoughts?
No, no, I think it's great to finally be done with the card reviews, and I'm excited to move on to other topics and some cool deck reviews.
Yeah. Yeah, as always, let us know what you think. If you agree or disagree with any of our cards, please leave a comment below. And if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to our channel, we would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, until next time, thanks everyone.